Hello, people. I welcome you back again to my YouTube channel, Daily Strides. Well, it's not a news anymore that our beloved gospel artist Osinachi Nwachukwu, the singer, remember the song "Ekwu Eme, Ekwu Eme" that she did with Prosper Ochimana is dead. It's no longer in use. As you can see, it's trending all over YouTube and in many other social platforms. But what is happening right now is that her death has sparked up a lot of issues that has, especially as it relates um, to domestic violence, as it relates to toxic marriages, as it relates to uh, wife battering, as it relates to uh, abusive husbands and abusive spouses. I prefer to use that word because uh, since we're talking about the issue of abuse in marriage, I think we should make it broader because domestic violence and abuse in marriage is not a gender issue. Children suffer abuses in marriage. Women suffer abuses in marriage. Men also suffer abuses in marriage. I told a story in the previous video of a young man that I thought was stronger than a rock. I once knew this young man, and it happened that I left that area. After many years, I returned back and I was asking about him. They told me the young man is dead. And without even inquiring, people around there told me that his problem was that he married a woman that is stronger than him. As such, the man couldn't cope with the whole situation and the man died. A lot of men have also died as a result of domestic or toxic marriages, as a result of domestic violence of all sorts. All right. When we talk about abuse, abuse is broader. It is not just yes, battering, which there must not be any reason for that in marriage. From as far as I'm concerned, nobody deserves to die this way. This can be avoided. This kind of death can be avoided. Nobody deserves to die this way. So, battering, whether wife battering or husband battering or children battering or whatever kind of battering going on, should be out of it entirely. And I believe that anyone who is caught doing this consistently should be arrested, not until they kill somebody, should be arrested and sent to a cell and jailed to cool off. I think one of the things that should be done is that Nigerians should come up with the Nigerian society or the Nigerian law should come up with a law that protects not just women but that protects people in marriages. Yes, women, of course, because women suffer more than marriages. But what of children? What of some men, some weak men in marriages? All right. So I believe she put up laws where people who consistently batter their partners should be sent to jail to cool off. Maybe by the time they go through that experience for 1 or 2 or 3 years, by the time they return back and they still meet their marriages, they will value their marriage. I think that should be this is what we can do, the society can do right now. Such a law can be passed. All right? Such a law can be passed. And then having uh said this, let me also say that since we're talking about abuse in marriage, abuse, there's emotional abuse. There's physical abuse. There's all kinds of abuse going on. Verbal abuse. There are men I know, they don't talk, they don't shout. You don't hear them, but the woman is suffering. You will never hear the man talk, but the woman is suffering. The same thing applicable can be other way around. You never hear, you never see them fight, or you never even hear them say whatever. You never hear the voice of the man or the voice of the woman, but they are not happy in that marriage. There are a whole lot of things like that. So While we're talking about the issue of abuse, we must know that abuse is, we must broaden the horoscope. Yes, women suffer most in this, but we also have occasions where men also suffer, especially when men are no longer in control, or when some men have lost their source of livelihood and are no longer the chief breadwinner of the family. Before you know it, the men are not even regarded anymore. And the one thing is that once you're up against a woman, the society is against you. The society is against you. But everybody suffer this same abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, all kinds of abuse, verbal abuse. So since we're talking about abuse, let us know that, let us talk about this from a very broader perspective and know that nobody deserves to die this way. Not men, not a man, not a woman, not a child. A lot of children have died as a result of abusive and toxic marriages and negligence because of toxic marriages. A lot of wives have died as a result. A lot of women, men have also died as a result of this. But this can be avoided. This can be avoided. This can be avoided. So how do we avoid this, which is the core of this video that I'm doing? How should this be avoided? How should this, because nobody deserves to die this way. We're talking about Osinachi Nwachukwu right now, but there are a whole lot of Osinachi Nwachukwus, and let me say this is not a gender issue. It is not a gender issue. For some people who are trying to make it a gender issue, or a female gender issue, is not. Children suffer, men suffer as much as women suffer in marriages, in toxic marriage. But how do we correct this? Number one, I see a lot of people who try to uh, fault the wisdom of God about marriage and divorce. Somebody was credited to saying when marriage is not when divorce is not an option and remarriage is a sin and all that and that, people are bound to die and all that, making it look as if God is unwise by saying he hates divorce. Let me even quickly say something here. Number one is the church, because a whole lot of blame goes to the religious circle. The church must learn to preach that marriage is not a must and marriage is not a criteria to go to heaven. The church must learn to preach that not everybody is cut out for marriage. Some people are better off without marriage. Some people are worse off with marriage. All right. Some people will do better without marriage. Some people will do better, and you don't need to be married. There is nothing demonic about being single. There is nothing demonic about, you can still be single and fulfill purpose. You can still be single and be productive. All right. There is no marriage in heaven. Not having children doesn't make you a lesser human being. Doesn't make you, we live in a society where if you're a man after 30, 35, 40, 45, and you don't have, people begin to look at you as though you have a demon. The same thing uh, when you're a woman and you are not married, 40, 45, people begin to look at you as if you're a witch. That's the kind of situation. So the church must come to teach that not everybody is cut out for marriage. Not everybody is cut out. Marriage is for a specific kind of people. All right? Marriage is not for boys. Marriage is for people who have matured minds. The truth is that not everybody, there are people who can do better off without marriage. You can find them in men, you can also find them in women. So I think that is one of the teachings that the church must learn to teach these days. And not to see people as though people are so when we teach like this, the pressure to marry comes down. The pressure to marry is reduced. so that people will not be forced into marriages when they don't have what it takes to actually be in marriage. Number two solution is that we must stick to the wisdom of God. We must stick to the wisdom of God. The same God who says no divorce also prescribed methods, wisdom, ways that a marriage can work successfully. So if you don't say no divorce and yet you are not practicing the wisdom of God that can preserve that marriage. If you are the no divorce type because God said it, if you are the no divorce type, then you must look into the Bible to see the wisdom that should preserve your marriage, to see the wisdom that God has laid out that should make your marriage work and become successful. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you don't just take no divorce and at the same time you are not practicing the wisdom of God. I need you to understand what we're talking about here. All right? Now, the same God that says no divorce has put an order. And the truth is that whenever this order is faulted, a marriage must have a problem. There is no institution without order. There is no, oh my God, there is no organization without order. So why is it that people don't want order in marriage? People don't want the very first institute that God Himself instituted is marriage. There is order in schools, orders in corporate bodies, even the government. Why shouldn't we have order in marriage? The God of the Bible has set the order that a man is the head of the family under Christ, who is the head of the man, and Christ, God is the head of Christ. So a man is the head of the wife under God, and the man is commanded to love the wife, which is more of, which demands the kind of love that God is talking about here is the kind of love that God, expresses in its purest sense. The kind of love you can find in Him, which is the love that gives even His own life. So love is more demanding than submission, and the woman is asked to submit. And we live in a generation where women don't even want to hear the word submit. They don't want to hear the word. It doesn't make you a lesser person. It only brings the order. It brings order in the family. It brings order in the marriage. Because there must be an order. So when you begin to fault this, you have a problem. That is why the older generation before us had more successful marriages than us. That was why there were less divorce in their days than in our days. At every given provocation, people opt for divorce. Why? Because we live at a time where feminist tendencies and feminist ideologies are so much infiltrated our society, and oh my God, a whole lot of things happening. So the very first thing people must do must stick to the wisdom of God. The death of Osinachi Nwachukwu does not endorse divorce. Moreover, the Bible does not outrule divorce completely. The Bible gave, even in the Old Testament and New Testament, which I believe are all the Word of God, actually gave conditions for divorce. And one of the conditions for divorce that Jesus actually said is in the case of infidelity. And many people are saying, are there not things worse than infidelity? What of when the marriage has become toxic and life is at stake? Like what we have in the case of Osinachi. The truth is that whenever you have such issue, the wisdom of God is not in place. There is the wisdom of God that preserves a marriage. It is not about divorce or not divorce. There is the wisdom of God that have been carpeted. As such, they're trying to run the marriage with their own wisdom. Why holding on to no divorce? If you have to go with no divorce, then you have to go by the wisdom of God, or else you can play out with your own wisdom and do whatever you think is right for you. But ultimately, every of our actions, we will be accountable to it. It's very important we understand this. So, one of the ways this can be avoided is to stick to the order that God has placed and know that there's a reason for that order. And whenever that order is faulted, there must be a problem, is a foundational problem. There's nothing you can do about that. Is that this is not what counseling can do. This is not what psychological revaluation, rehabilitation can do. The truth is that you must know what principles you're running your family with. If you want to run your family with the principles that are out there, you can run it out there. All right? You can do it out there. But if you want to go strictly by the Bible and by the Word of God, then you must go out by the Bible completely. It's very important we understand this. I've already said that we must teach that not everybody is cut out for marriage. The man in question I had, he's been arrested, could be the type that is not cut out for marriage. Could be a narcissist. Somebody who wants to control you at every cost. Somebody who wants to seize you as an extension of himself. Doesn't see that you actually have your own life to live, and that you are not a property. Just because you pay the bride price doesn't make the woman your property. The woman also has her own life to live. Somebody who wants to control you all the way. And if it has gotten so bad that battering is part of it, I don't think, a lot of people said they have reasons. They have seen this happen before. Why are people keeping quiet? And everybody speaking right now. All right? His kind of person might not be cut out for marriage. He could have done well as a single. He must not. And when I look at the man is not even a young man. I can understand if it were just young men, full-blooded young men and young ladies who are still expressing. But at the age of this man, he's not supposed to be doing this anymore. So you see that why battering has nothing to do with age is actually an attitude, is actually a a thing that must be addressed. All right? So everybody's not cut out for marriage. Everybody. There are women who don't want to be controlled. Please, if you're a woman, you don't want to submit yourself to your husband, please don't go into marriage. If you have your head is full of these feminist thing and all that, and you don't go into marriage, because you're going to cause problem to the person, with the person. So the idea is don't marry. It's not a must. It's not a must. Marriage is not a must for everybody. Marriage is not a must. Do you understand? If you're a man that you believe you must control every aspect of your wife's life, don't go into marriage. Everybody is not cut out for marriage. Everybody, even your children, are not supposed to be an extension of yourself. There are different people that have different goals, that have different objectives in life, and have their own calling. All right? These are some of the things that can be done. Stick to the wisdom of God. And now, what do we now do when the marriage has got so bad, like in this case? All right? I suggest, if it has gone so bad to the extent that life is involved, please, the old-fashioned separation is the best. The old-fashioned separation. This is what I advise. If you notice that you're having a problem, nobody marries. I'm sure when you went to marry that woman, you married her to love her. And you now begin to say that you're beginning to have a problem with her. Please, you can separate. You can live differently. You can live separately. You can live separately. Let her live separate. You live separate. Especially if children is involved. I don't subscribe to divorce, but there are many ways to go about it. Separate. Live separately. Live on your own. Why she lives on her own, forget about whatever she's doing. Focus on your children. Since she has had some children for you, forget whatever. And because live your life, let her live her life. Then you people can come to an understanding. You are doing this for yourselves. If you notice that you can't control yourself while you are living under the same roof with her, stay apart from each other. A lot of marriages would have been saved from divorce if only they separated, because a time of separation is the time to debride. A time of separation is a time to come, especially a marriage that went toxic, not because the marriage, the people are not, but because a lot of things are played into the marriage, and maybe the wife, the husband lost the job, or something has happened. So uh, uh, a whole of these have happened. So we take time to actually debride. It take time to actually think. What are you doing wrong? What should you do right? What are you not doing? And take time to appreciate each other's presence and respect each other's presence. Please, the old-fashioned separation. I talked about this in my previous video. You can decide to listen to that video and hear some of the things I said about old-fashioned separation. It has worked for me. It has worked, and it's still working for a whole lot of people. Above all, there is nothing as important as personal responsibility. You just have to take that responsibility to control yourself. You know, when people say this is the way I am, I can't help it, it's a lie. Personality is not fixed. It's not. And people try to give you excuse. Oh, how was your childhood? Were you ever abused? Where it is, and maybe the reason why you're there. They are trying to give you an excuse. The truth is that you can control yourself. The truth is that you can. We all have free will. We're free moral agents. Even when the woman is raining abuses on you, you have the right to detach. You have the right to detach from the situation. However, it's going to help you, because more or less it's your mind that interprets what is going on. If you decide to be in control of your mind and to control of the way you think and you process your thought and what she's doing, one of the ways I do is I say to you, well, the day I married you, I gave you the right to insult me. You are the only woman that has that right, is legally qualified to insult me. That is what I did when I went to marry. Another woman cannot see me on the street and start insulting me because I'm such a person that carried myself well, and I have no reason to be anybody to insult me. But you have the right. That's why I love you. I love you because you are the only person that can insult me and it will not hurt me, knowing that it's coming from you. All right? You can program your mind to think that way. Oh, you're a wicked man. Oh, you are this. Oh, you are that. Oh, you are evil. Oh, you are this. Wow. You only have the right to insult me. That's why I love you. Another woman cannot do that. All right? So, my brothers, it has to do with the way we think. And moreover, who are you not to be insulted? Who are you not to be called names? Who are you? You could be a star out there, and yet privately your woman does not regard you. So it doesn't make anything. Just try to know what actually how to manage the situation, because people are different guys. You might say something has happened. Just manage. It has gotten so toxic. Know that you are in control. Then separation, it has gotten out of control that you cannot handle it. Instead of you dying in silence, you can separate. You can separate. You can even decide to live separately. You can split the children amongst yourself. While she's on her own with some of the children, you can also be with some of the children. All right? Whereby you're married in principle and legally, but separated. It can work that way. It can work that way. Allow her to be herself. If she comes back to her senses and remembers you, she may be the one to want to opt for a reunion. So long as you know that the problem is not actually coming from your own ends. I'm speaking to men right now because this thing is two-sided. All right? So these are the few things I have to say about this. I don't support divorce, and this is not just a female gender thing. Everybody suffers uh, abuse, But my take is that nobody deserves to die this way. Diddy Strides signing out.